Well, they're at it again, the way it sounds. Russian hackers are trying to mess up and hold for ransom all of the individuals and what they're trying to do. In fact, we'll get into the bigger picture of all that. But Nick Powers has been on with us before. Nick is a cybersecurity expert, and he is with Uncommon, a company that provides industry-leading management and technology consulting services through including cybersecurity. Nick, good to have you coming down the road with us.
Yeah, thanks a lot for having me back, Joel.
I want to talk a little bit about the Russian hackers. Has this kind of fallen under the radar, except in the world you live, where you got to keep an eye on it?
Yeah, I mean, we're at, attacks are at an all-time high. It's continuing to happen. And a recent report, Microsoft said that it detected up to 1,400 companies at risk, probably as a result of the SolarWinds hack last year. And they think they've detected at least 14 of those companies have been breached. So this isn't going away anytime soon.
So why aren't we? I don't know how quick the industry or others can respond, but why aren't they all calling you? Because clearly you can help fix this. I mean, in terms of what's happened in the past, don't we learn from that, or is it just something new come at us, Nick?
No, I think what we had in recent history anyway is what we call a supply chain hack, which is people are moving up in hacking the companies that build the software that we use every day, right? Whether it be an app on a phone, whether it be a business system piece of software that we use, or whether it be even cybersecurity tools. And so once it was proven that it could be highly successful, which it was last year with SolarWinds, it's just a whole new avenue that hackers are attacking. And as a result of that, we're seeing just a significant increase in those types of hacks. The other thing we're also seeing, Joel, is a lot of companies are moving to the cloud, and the cloud is a new technology that people are kind of figuring out. And as a result of that, sometimes they make mistakes, and those mistakes are security holes.
So give people a worst case scenario. With everything you just described, what could happen that would affect their daily lives?
I think the biggest thing we're all worried about right now is, there's a different supply chain than what I was talking about earlier. That's highly vulnerable right now, which is, getting our goods and services, our goods from Asia, right? We've got ports backing up in Los Angeles and Long Beach. We've got, a truck driver shortage and things like that. And so you see some of those industries right now that are already very vulnerable, very sensitive to fluctuations. If we saw a hack there, we could see a lot of delays. We could see gas prices going up, maybe if we can't get oil from one part of the country to another. Those are the types of things I worry about, is those types of vulnerable areas. And that has a direct impact on people's pocketbooks. It has a direct impact on, getting things so they can sell things. I mean, the other day, Joel, I couldn't get chocolate chip muffins at my local grocery store because the plastic containers they put the muffins in hadn't come in yet. And so, you just never know how it's going to impact us.
So do we know for sure these are Russians? Are we able to track that down? Because we always talk about Russian hackers. I mean, if we know that, then it would seem to me we're at least part of the way there.
Yeah, I mean, each group, and it doesn't always have to be Russian. There are Chinese, there are Korean, there are Middle Eastern hacking groups. But each group seems to have a signature that we can typically trace. And so this latest kind of rundown that Microsoft gave us was the majority of that traffic was coming out of Russia. In a good news story, the JBS hack that we had earlier this year in May, which was the meat processing capabilities in North America, the group from Russia called REvil that actually pulled off that hack, they were hacked by the FBI, and the FBI actually injected malware into their systems and took advantage of them. So, it's not always all bad news. Let's just say that.
Okay. I want to talk a little bit about that supply chain, because that's one of the big things holding back the U.S. economy. Is this something that is more of a means of just stymieing the economy or getting ransom? I mean, what's the driving force behind it? Because if it's just all about punching America in the guts when it comes to the economy, then I look to the government of Russia. as being the perpetrator. If it's all about holding individuals ransom and saying, look, you're not going to get the power grid back on until you pay us, then it seems a little more individual. Am I wrong, or give me your take?
Yeah, so it's been hard to really kind of isolate down that it's an individual or it's a group or it's Russian, but typically Russian sponsored is what they've kind of tagged these groups as. And what I would say is the majority of the Russian groups seem to be holding people for ransom, right? They're trying to get access, they're trying to get funds, transfer their wealth over across the ocean and do what they need to do with it, right? Now, in other cases, what we've seen is the Chinese, they don't want anybody to know they're there. They're hacking to steal secrets, they're hacking to steal information, they're hacking to steal data, and they don't want people to know they're there. So it really depends on where it's coming from. But in these types of situations, if I was going to disrupt the supply chain, it would be for a ransom, because you want to get that stuff back online as fast as possible.
Do governments ever work with each other on this, though? I know that the U.S. and Russia haven't always been doing the kumbaya, but is there a means and a method into saying, look, you've got people in your country doing this. You need to police it, because there was talk by President Biden before that we have the means to punch back. Hey, if they're not going to do this, then wait and see what we can do from individuals that understand cybersecurity like yourself. Let me phrase this in a better way. Is there a way that government itself can come in and help resolve and solve?
So there's a couple different angles to play there, Joel. One of them is President Biden actually reached out to our European partners earlier this year, and they struck an accord with regards to kind of enforcement, extradition treaties, and things like that, to really ramp up our pursuit of cyber criminals, to include the banking industry, freezing funds, freezing digital currency like Bitcoin, and things like that. And so they've very much stepped that up, and there's a lot of international cooperation there. But when it comes to these other countries like Russia and China, we don't really typically have the means to go over there and extract somebody from their country and hold them accountable. And so as a result of that, it's very, a lot of banking goes through Europe, a lot of banking goes to the United States. So putting these policies in place will help us freeze those assets and prevent or disincentivize people from hacking. So I think that's a key thing. And the president was able to work that earlier this year in the spring. Going forward, like I said earlier, the FBI is taking countermeasures, working with the CIA, NSA, and actually in that report, the hack of REvil was actually, I think, perpetrated by another country for us. So we gave them the tools to do it. They had the access to do it. And so they were actually able to work in coordination to pull that hack off. And so I do see a lot of international cooperation here. Is it the answer? Have we solved everything? No, but I think we're definitely moving in the right direction.
I'm assuming your life is no different than mine. You're probably spending more money in the holidays than what you want to spend. It's a money spending time of year. How could this affect that, the supply chain, where America's at? We're already seeing empty store shelves. I mean, how does this play into all of that?
Yeah, I mean, I think any type of disruption to the supply chain at this point, it's highly sensitive. In fact, I read a really great report on microprocessors the other day that basically said that as a result of the shortage of microprocessing, we're seeing, just for instance, TVs, washer machines, dryers increase in prices upwards of $300 to $500 a piece, right? So it's definitely hitting America in the pocketbook. We've got rapid inflation probably starting to set in on the country. There was a lot of money given out last year to help people through COVID. And so that stuff entered the system without really, a lot of constraints around that. So I think we're having a double whammy of supply chain issues, inflation caused by COVID problems. And so I think, any type of additional disruption that could happen from a cybersecurity perspective could have, a major impact on the United States in the winter here.
So for people who are listening to you and realize that you do things that maybe they need help with, tell people about Uncommon. Tell people about, how they can get in touch with you and what you do.
Yeah, absolutely. So Uncommon is a consulting company out of St. Louis, Missouri. It's at www.uncomn.com. We're happy to help anybody. In fact, small businesses up to Fortune 500s call us as trusted advisors. But we also do a lot of information sharing. So there's definitely some great groups out there like CISA, CISA, which is the United States Cybersecurity Agency that's recently been stood up under President Obama. And so there's a lot of great space. We share a lot of information on our LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook accounts. CISA shares a lot there as well. But if anybody needs a hand, I'm always there, available to be reached out to at our website, and happy to help any way I can.
Well, keep doing what you do, Nick, because clearly the nation needs it.